If I had to choose one person whose story truly shakes me to my core, it would have to be Yu Menglong. He literally walked into a death trap, risking his own life just to expose the darkest corners of the Chinese entertainment industry. We all like to think our world is safe and sound, but suddenly, we're hit with the realization that things aren't nearly as pure as they seem. That glitzy, glamorous world we see on screen, its dark side was ripped wide open the moment Xiao Yu left us. It was then we finally saw that the industry can be a very dangerous place. So dangerous, in fact, that the death of a star can just be brushed aside without any real answers. It's treated as something so simple that, with just a few choice words, like drunk, fell from a building, or depressed, a case can be closed and forgotten instantly. It's as if they have a ready-to-use template. Just swap out a name and they can make someone vanish forever. Even though rumors are swirling and the details don't add up, the truth is always suppressed by an invisible hand. These questionable cases are silenced in the blink of an eye. Today, we're diving into a story that has way too many red flags, just like Yu Menglong's The Case of Ren Jiao. Hi guys, Sean here, and welcome back. How have you been? I hope you're not tired of me yet, because today we're heading into some pretty dark territory. Sometimes, the entertainment industry is like a stage with lights so bright they blind us to what's actually happening in the shadows. And today, we're going to shine a flashlight into those shadows, because you never know how deep this hole goes. In Suzhou, there's a freshwater lake called Jinji Lake, one of the largest city lakes in China. People often say, in heaven there is paradise, on earth there are Suzhou and Hangzhou. The beauty of Suzhou is truly unmatched, which is why countless luxury hotels line the shores of this lake. One of them is the Suzhou Jinghe Howard Johnson Executive Apartments. Despite having apartments in its name, this isn't your average residential building, it's a high-end, 5-star hotel. On the 16th of October 2017, a light drizzle was falling over Suzhou. It was around 12:10 a.m., a time when the rest of the world seemed to be sinking into a haunting silence. Suddenly, a violent thud shattered the quiet of the night. The sound was so jarring, it startled the security guard on duty. Heart racing, he rushed outside to see what had happened. There, on the grass outside the hotel, lay the body of a young woman. She was completely naked, and even more chillingly, her body was covered in bruises. She wasn't breathing. The hotel, which should have been a place of comfort and calm, had suddenly turned into the scene of a bloody tragedy. Hotel staff immediately called the police and an ambulance, but it was already too late. The young woman was gone forever, a beautiful flower withered long before her time. According to the hotel management, she had fallen from the 13th floor of the building. However, after checking the guest records, a strange fact emerged. She wasn't even a registered guest at the hotel. So, who exactly was she? Why was she there? And why did she have to leave this world in such a tragic and exposed state? It didn't take long for the public to find the answer. Her name was Ren Jiao, a professional actress. Let's take a look back at Ren Jiao's journey. Born in 1988 in Anshan, Liaoning, her path in the entertainment world wasn't exactly a walk in the park after graduating from the Beijing Film Academy. Despite her immense talent and stunning looks, she struggled to stand out among the sea of rising stars. Film opportunities were hard to come by. Finally, in 2013, leaning into her captivating beauty, she entered the 42nd Miss Intercontinental pageant and managed to snag the runner-up title for the Shenzhen region. Her name blew up overnight. From that moment on, the doors to the industry swung wide open. Ren Jiao started landing acting gigs and appeared in minor roles in films like Zhongkui, Snow Girl, and The Dark Crystal, and the horror flick Midnight Do Not Turn Around. Because the roles she played weren't considered crucial, her name wasn't even included in the cast list during the film's promotions. With such a strikingly beautiful face, Ren Jiao hadn't reached superstar status yet, but she certainly left a lasting impression on the audience. Because of her resemblance to top actress Angelababy, the public dubbed her the Little Angelababy. Ren Jiao truly cherished every acting opportunity that came her way, no matter how hard they were to get. Even for minor roles, she gave it her absolute all. While her name wasn't in bright lights just yet, her hard work paid off. She caught the eye of the king of comedy, Zhao Benshan, and eventually became one of his disciples. After that, career opportunities for Ren Jiao began to pour in. And what really made her a household name overnight was her appearance on the hit variety show Keep Running. As her career reached its peak, she began to build connections with big names and high-ranking figures in the industry. Among them were heavy hitters, like the boss of Daeyun Society, Guo Dagang, and the renowned director Wang Jing. Shortly after, Zhao Benshan appointed Ren Jiao as a host for the variety show Smile is Coming. The public eventually crowned her with the title of the most beautiful female disciple Zhao Benshan ever had. Unfortunately, Ren Jiao's career from the moment she first stepped into the spotlight until the day she died lasted only 5 years. That's why she hadn't had the chance to star in many films or series yet. However, with her pageant background, she managed to build a pretty solid following in the industry, especially after filming the big screen version of the variety show Keep Running. If her life had continued on that smooth path, she could have easily become a massive star. But just as her career was skyrocketing toward its peak, fate had other plans. Her journey was cut short, leaving her forever frozen at the age of 28. Ren Jiao actually had all the potential for success and had already secured a promising level of fame. But then, an actress as stunning as her was suddenly found lifeless, and what's even more shocking, she was found without a single stitch of clothing on. The news hit like a bombshell, immediately triggering heated debates and becoming the talk of the town. The police quickly reviewed the hotel's CCTV footage from that day. It revealed that on the night of October 15th, Ren Jiao was seen walking into the hotel, chatting and laughing intimately with a man. The two were then seen entering a room on the 13th floor. Naturally, this man became the prime suspect. He was immediately detained and taken to the police station for questioning, but strangely enough, within just 48 hours, the man was simply released. Shortly after, the police released an official statement declaring that Ren Jiao's death was purely an accident caused by the influence of alcohol. Naturally, the public was outraged. Even though Ren Jiao was still an up-and-coming artist at the time, she had a wide network of friends in the industry, and her public image was generally very positive. She fell from a great height completely naked, not to mention the numerous bruises found all over her body. So, when the authorities ruled it an accident due to public intoxication, people just couldn't buy it. To many, that explanation made absolutely no sense, no matter how you looked at it. Because of the many inconsistencies, and the fact that the official explanation felt so nonsensical, netizens decided to take matters into their own hands and conduct their own investigation. It didn't take long for the public to uncover the man's identity. It turns out, the person who entered the hotel with Ren Jiao was also an actor named Yang Shuwen. Born in 1994, he was several years younger than Ren Jiao. However, in terms of career, Yang Shuwen's path was much smoother and more brilliant. A graduate of the Central Academy of Drama, he was already scouted by the entertainment giant Huai Brothers while he was still in his third year of college. Without any major obstacles, he was immediately signed and officially became an artist under that massive agency. Since entering the entertainment world, Yang Shuwen's path seemed effortless. Just imagine, he only had to play a supporting role once before he was immediately trusted to take on lead roles. The legendary martial arts novel, The Legend of the Condor Heroes, has been adapted for the screen many times. Well, in the latest remake, it was Yang Shuwen who was chosen to play the main character Guo Jing. He even became a favorite, heavily promoted by Huai Brothers as the agency's golden boy. Unfortunately, Yang Shuwen wasn't exactly a public favorite. Despite being flooded with projects and resources from the start, he never quite exploded into an A-list superstar. So, what was the actual relationship between Yang Shuwen and Ren Jiao? An insider revealed that the two were indeed very close, though they couldn't exactly be called an official couple. 2 days after Ren Jiao's death, members of the media who received a tip-off rushed to the hotel to investigate. They discovered that at the window of the room where Yang Shuen was staying, there was an iron railing 1.3 meters high. The window that could be opened was located right above that railing. This design was intentionally made for guest safety to prevent accidents, whether intentional or not. This discovery sparked a massive question. What does all this mean? Logically, even for someone who is sober, it would be very difficult to jump or fall from there. Let alone someone who is heavily intoxicated, whose consciousness is gone, and whose body is weak. It feels almost impossible for someone to fall over that railing on their own. Just think about it. 1.3 meters is about chest high for an adult. For a woman of average height, it's virtually impossible to accidentally fall over a railing that high without some kind of external factor. In other words, the only real possibility is that she was lifted over that iron railing and thrown out the window. There's a strong chance that Ren Jiao went through something horrific before taking her final breath. Otherwise, how could her body be covered in so many bruises? So, as the prime suspect and the only key witness at the scene, what was Yang Xuan's defense? He claimed that when the fatal incident occurred, he was fast asleep. Because he had also been drinking that night, he insisted he had absolutely no idea what had actually happened. His agency didn't stay quiet either. They released a formal statement, fiercely denying any involvement on Yang Xuan's part and threatening legal action against anyone daring to spread false rumors. One investigation, one official statement, and a single "I don't know" apparently, that was all it took to bury the truth. It allowed Yang Xuan to wash his hands of the whole thing and walk away from any responsibility. To make matters worse, the production team of the film Blood Trail, which Ren Jiao was starring in, posted on Weibo. They tried to frame the narrative as if Ren Jiao had taken her own life, claiming she was suffering from severe depression after being devastated by her grandmother's passing. This attempt to manipulate public opinion was immediately shut down by Ren Jiao's friends in the industry. They all agreed that Ren Jiao was a bright, cheerful soul who was always the life of the party, someone who showed absolutely no signs of depression whatsoever. Ren Jiao's close friend, Wang Xinyao, who is also a former pageant queen and actress, spoke out on her Weibo account. She shared screenshots of her recent messages with Ren Jiao. The texts clearly showed that Ren Jiao was enjoying a vacation in Suzhou with her parents. She had even promised to meet up with Wang Xinyao as soon as her trip was over. In a post filled with grief and anger, Wang Xinyao wrote a heartbreaking message. 3 days have passed, and all I can rely on is the media and the police. I don't know what to do. I can't accept that you're gone just like this, leaving behind so many unanswered questions. Sadly, the police force that Wang Xinyao pinned her hopes on remained motionless. The media only covered the case through minor articles that barely scratched the surface, failing to create any real public pressure. On the other hand, frustrated netizens kept digging for the truth. However, their efforts only yielded limited results regarding Yang Xuan's background. What his family was like, who his parents were, or what they did for a living, not a single person outside his circle knew. Nevertheless, in an interview, Yang Xuan once accidentally let slip that all of his siblings were studying abroad. This seemed like a strong hint that the Yang family wasn't just anyone. In fact, a well-known media figure, Li Muyang, once shared a shocking piece of information on his program. He leaked that Yang Xuan's relationship with the top brass at Yi Brothers was incredibly intimate, even suggesting that he was a kept man for one of the high-ranking executives. Of course, we can't say for sure if that information is 100% true, so I'll leave that for you to decide for yourselves. When it comes to personal morality, Yang Xuan's behavior off-camera has also been a target of public backlash. As it turns out, he was frequently caught on camera with his clique, hunting for dates in various spots and partying hard at KTV lounges. In fact, shortly before Ren Jiao's death, a video surfaced showing Yang Xuan appearing to force Ren Jiao into his car, though she flat out rejected him. But it doesn't stop there. A blogger under the account TTTMY leaked even more shocking information. They claim that on the night of Ren Jiao's death, inside Yang Xuan's room, room number 13, it wasn't just the two of them. Two other men were allegedly present, both of whom were high-ranking executives from Huayi Brothers, named Yuan Tao and Liu Tao. The fact is, it was proven that on the morning of the fatal incident, the top brass of Huayi Brothers were spotted rushing to Suzhou to conduct massive crisis management. Whether it was due to the skillful lobbying of their PR team or purely the result of a one-sided investigation by the Suzhou police, one thing is clear. Everything seemed to be silenced instantly. In the end, they stood firm on the claim that Ren Jiao's death was purely an accident caused by the influence of alcohol, and the investigation was officially closed without any further action. On the other side, Ren Jiao's parents seemed to be pushed into a corner until they were eventually forced to agree to a settlement with Yang Xuan. Since then, all the doubts and the string of inconsistencies voiced by netizens have hit a dead end. Because once that agreement was reached, the pursuit of truth was abruptly halted and vanished into thin air. Time flies so fast. It's hard to believe that 9 years have already passed. In that time, so many major events have unfolded. Ren Jiao's name and her case seem to have been eroded by time. The demand for the truth slowly faded and began to be forgotten. However, who would have thought that the passing of Yu Menglong would trigger a new wave, a mass outcry for justice and a demand to uncover the real facts? It's as if people were suddenly jolted awake and their memories came rushing back. They've begun to realize that Ren Jiao's case from years ago shares many chilling similarities with what happened to Yu Menglong. Yet tragically, both cases were closed prematurely with rushed conclusions by the authorities. Many netizens are left wondering and suspicious. How is it possible that Yang Xuan, who was entangled in such a serious case, could walk away completely unscathed? Not only that, he actually managed to skyrocket into the ranks of A-list actors thanks to his role in the drama Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty. This truly raises some massive red flags. Now, many netizens are once again raising the cry to guard Ren Jiao's case. They are making it clear that everyone is still waiting for the real truth to come to light, to finally give the deceased the justice she deserves. On that fateful night before the incident occurred, was it really just Yang Xuan and Ren Jiao in that hotel room? Or were there actually other men present? Furthermore, the sudden appearance of the Huayi brothers' top brass in Suzhou right after the incident, could this all be connected to an effort to cover up a scandal through crisis management? The similarity between Ren Jiao and Yu Menglong lies in their backgrounds. Both came from ordinary families, yet both possessed stunning looks and had spent years grinding in the entertainment industry. Tragically, both died mysteriously in the early hours of the morning after attending a party, and even more suspiciously, unexplained injuries were found on their bodies. Even though the crime scene was riddled with inconsistencies, the police stood firm, calling it a pure accident and refusing to reopen the investigation. The powerful figures widely suspected to be involved, at least according to what the public knows, are the top brass of Huayi Brothers. To this day, rumors circulating online suggest that Ren Jiao's case was intentionally cleaned up by Huayi Brothers to protect their own interests. How could a film company possess enough power to fix a criminal case, silence the police, and suppress media opinion all at once? Well, you have to remember that in the early 2000s, Huayi Brothers was known as the Titan, the #1 brand in China's private film industry. Under their wing, they managed an incredible roster of A-list stars. You could say they had the most prestigious lineup of talent. Almost every top movie star and renowned director in China at the time was under their management. Not only that, Huayi Brothers made history as the first entertainment company to successfully list on the A-share stock market. The two brothers who owned Huayi, Wang Zhongjun and Wang Zhonglei, were once at an unmatched peak of success. Their image as celebrity billionaires meant their names were always present at prestigious national awards and lavish banquets, the gathering places for the elite and the high-flying jet-setters. What's more, they also maintained very close ties with the political elite within the inner circles of power. Even at the launch event for the new Xinqi product, which dragged Yu Menglong's name into the spotlight, the big boss of Huayi, Wang Zhongjun, surprisingly showed up in person, leading a parade of major stars and famous directors just to show his support. If that's the case, can we really call Jin Qi an ordinary person? Public rumors even go as far as to claim that Jin Qi is part of the Xi family, as an illegitimate child of the ruling family. Isn't that highly possible? Given Huai brothers' network, capital, and their shared interests with the political elite, they weren't exactly something Ren Jiao's parents could shake. Even if they realized something was wrong behind their daughter's death, they were simply powerless. This is why the public widely speculates that there was a certain operation under Huai brothers' control. This is allegedly what made the police insist the incident was purely an alcohol-related accident. Under double pressure from both the police and the corporation, plus the urgency to extinguish the scandal to protect market value and agency image, the parties involved likely offered a very tempting compensation. In the end, Ren Jiao's parents chose to stay silent, and the case was considered closed. So, what is the actual truth? As Yu Menglong's case comes to light, perhaps other cases filled with inconsistencies will also start to surface, one by one. Ren Jiao's death might be settled on paper, but in the hearts of those seeking justice, this case will always be an open wound. Can money and power truly buy the truth? Or will time eventually expose everything? We can only keep speaking out, so that no more beautiful flowers wither mysteriously in the silence of the night. I'm Sean. Thank you for joining me on this investigation. If you're still watching this, maybe you're looking for the same thing I am.